He has 10 minutes left on the test. Every answer sits ready in his head. Instead, he writes his name at the top, stares at the wall, and hands in a blank page. Somewhere else, a genius is one email away from finishing the project that could change his career. He closes the laptop. He never sends it. This is the mind that solves a problem before you finish explaining it. The one that sees 5 moves ahead in any conversation, any plan, any fight. The one that gets bored the second time you repeat something because it already understood the first time. The one that can look at a whole system, a business, a game, a relationship, and map it out in seconds. And then, right before the win, it quietly pulls the plug. We like to think brilliant people fail because they're lazy, or careless, or maybe even a little broken. But the truth is, losing on purpose is the most controlled decision he will ever make. Here's the real danger. Left alone, this pattern doesn't explode. It erodes. One unfinished project at a time, one missed chance at a time, until a person's whole future has quietly slipped away. Not from failure, but from almost. Today, we're breaking down the psychology of the genius who chooses to lose. We'll look at why the sharpest minds sometimes sabotage their own success, and how to stop that habit before it becomes who he is. I'm Psychology Light, where we turn the mind's blind spots into your biggest advantage. Let's get started. To understand this pattern, we need to go back to 2 ideas from psychology. The first is called self-handicapping theory, first studied by researchers Burgess and Jones. Here's the simple version. If you think you might fail at something, your brain will sometimes create its own obstacle on purpose. Not because you want to fail.
Because you want a reason for it that isn't, I wasn't good enough. Think of it like this. If a runner skips practice all week and then loses the race, they can say, well, I didn't train. That stings a lot less than running your hardest and still losing. The brain would rather have an excuse than face the truth. The second idea is fixed versus growth mindset, from psychologist Carol Dweck. A fixed mindset believes talent is who you are, a fact, not a skill. A growth mindset believes ability can be built over time. Here's the problem. If being smart becomes your whole identity, then every real test becomes a threat. Because if you try your hardest and still fall short, it doesn't feel like a bad day. It feels like proof that you were never actually smart at all. So the brain protects itself. It controls the reason for failure before failure can control the story. If you quit early, you were never really trying. And if you were never really trying, you were never really tested. This is why they are not lazy. This pattern was shaped early, often in childhood, when being the smart one became the whole identity. Report cards, praise, comparisons to other kids, all of it built one quiet rule. Your value depends on being right. And once that rule takes hold, any real attempt feels dangerous because it might prove the rule wrong. Here's how this shows up in real life. Picture someone working on a big project. Every draft is sharp. Every version gets better. Friends read it and say it's some of their best work yet. Then, the week before it's due, something shifts. They stop opening the file. They tell themselves they're too tired, too busy, too behind to finish it right. The project that was almost great never gets turned in at all. This is self-handicapping in action. Psychologists also call it preemptive failure. It means creating the failure yourself, on your own terms, before life gets the chance to hand it to you first.
Here's why the brain does this. If you finish the project and it flops, that failure feels personal. It says something about you. But if you never finish it, you get to keep the story that it could have been great. The excuse becomes a shield. I ran out of time feels a lot safer than I gave it everything and it still wasn't enough. The catch is, that shield comes at a real cost. Every time someone quits right before the finish line, they are not protecting themselves. They are trading a possible win for a guaranteed excuse. And here's the hardest part. They never actually find out what they were capable of. The truth stays locked away, hidden behind a choice that felt safe in the moment, but leaves a question mark hanging over everything they do next. That question mark
is heavier than most people realize. It builds up over time. Every unfinished project becomes proof, at least in their own mind, that maybe they were right to be afraid. And that fear quietly sets the stage for the next trap, one that cuts even closer to who they believe they are. Now, the pattern grows teeth. It stops hiding in unfinished projects and starts showing up in the biggest moments of someone's life. The promotion finally comes through, the one they worked years for, and instead of celebrating, they hesitate. They start listing reasons why now isn't the right time. Or the audition gets booked, the one that could change everything, and suddenly they're too busy to prepare. Or the relationship, the one that's actually going well for once, starts to feel too close, too real, too much, and they begin pulling away, right when someone finally sees them clearly. This is not bad luck. This is fear of success, sometimes called imposter-driven avoidance. It sounds strange at first. Why would anyone run from something good? But here's the logic underneath it. Failing quietly is painful, but it's familiar.
Succeeding brings a new kind of fear. The fear of being seen, being tested again, being expected to do it all one more time. And under that fear is one deeper question. What if I get everything I wanted, and it turns out I'm still not enough? So instead of finding out, they retreat. They turn down the promotion. They skip the audition. They create distance in the relationship before it gets too real. Each time, it feels like protection, but it isn't. It's avoidance wearing the mask of caution. Here's the cost, and it's a heavy one. Every retreat quietly confirms the exact belief they were trying to escape. If you turn down the promotion, some part of your mind whispers, "See, you knew you couldn't handle it." If you pull away from love, that same part says, "You knew you'd disappoint them eventually." The retreat doesn't protect their self-worth. It slowly erodes it, one missed chance at a time. This is the trap closing in tighter. It's no longer about one unfinished project. It's about identity itself, about a person quietly deciding, over and over, that they are safer staying small than risking the truth of who they could become. By now, the pattern has moved past projects and past chances. It has reached the people closest to them. Think about the friend who keeps saying, "You could do so much more. I believe in you." Or the partner who sees their potential clearer than they see it themselves. At first, that kind of belief feels good, but slowly it starts to feel like pressure, like a job they never applied for. And so, without even meaning to, they start pulling away from the very people who see them best. They cancel plans. They stop sharing their goals. They get quiet around the people who ask the most of them, because those people expect a version of them they're not sure they can become. Psychologists call part of this identity foreclosure. It happens when someone locks onto a fixed idea of who they are, usually early in life, and stops exploring who they could still grow into. If your identity got frozen around smart but doesn't try, then anyone who challenges that frozen picture feels like a threat, even if their intentions are loving. There's also something called self-verification theory. It says people are drawn to relationships that confirm what they already believe about themselves, even when that belief is negative. So if someone secretly believes they'll disappoint people, they may feel more comfortable around those who expect little from them than those who expect a lot. Being fully seen and fully believed in can feel more frightening than being alone. This is where the cost turns from personal to painful for everyone involved. The people who love them the most start feeling shut out, confused, even rejected, without understanding why. But it isn't rejection. It's fear wearing distance as a disguise. The people who love them get punished for believing in a version of them they're too afraid to become. And here's the quiet tragedy underneath all of it. The very people trying to pull them toward their potential become the people they run from fastest, because being seen trying and maybe failing feels far more dangerous than staying safely alone. So here is where it all leads. After the unfinished projects, the turned down chances, the people pushed away, one final trade quietly settles in. And it might be the cruelest one of all. They stop letting themselves be known.
Instead, they settle for being admired,
Here's the difference. Being known means someone sees your effort, your mess, your real attempts, and loves you anyway. Being admired means someone only sees the polished parts, the flashes of brilliance, the moments you let them see. Admiration is safe. It keeps people at a distance, impressed but never close enough to see the fear underneath. Being known is risky because it means someone could see you try, see you struggle, and still walk away. So little by little, control replaces connection. They manage what people see. They manage how hard they let themselves try in front of others. They manage the story instead of living it. It feels like safety, but it's actually a slow kind of loneliness, the kind that looks like success from the outside and feels like distance on the inside. Here's the truth we need to sit with. They cannot simply turn this off. You cannot tell someone to just stop being afraid, any more than you can tell someone to just stop feeling pain. The fear is real, and it was built for a reason. So the answer was never about becoming less intelligent or less ambitious. That was never the problem. The real shift is learning to carry the fear of being seen differently, not erasing it, not outrunning it, learning to hold it without letting it make every decision. That shift is where real change begins. So how do you carry this differently? Here are 3 ways to start. First, redefine failure as data, not identity. A failed attempt is not proof of who you are. It's just information you didn't have before. Try this. For the next 30 days, stop tracking outcomes.
Track attempts instead. Not did I win, but did I try? Every attempt gets a check mark, no matter what happened after. Slowly, your brain starts to separate trying from being judged. Second, finish one thing past the point where you'd normally quit. You know that moment, the one right before the deadline where doubt creeps in and your hand hovers over the delete button. This time, don't delete it. Submit it anyway, doubt and all. Let the work speak before your fear gets the final edit. Third, let one person witness an unfinished attempt. Show someone the rough draft, not the polished version. Let them see the messy middle, before it's ready, before it's safe. This is how being known slowly replaces being admired. Here's the shift to hold on to. This same force, the intelligence, the drive, the intensity, that once flooded and destroyed everything in its path, can move somewhere useful. Like water finally let out of a dam, it doesn't disappear. It just stops drowning everything around it and starts flowing towards something worth building. Now, I want to hear from you. Comment below which sign hit closest to home. Was it the blank test, the missed promotion, or pushing away someone who believed in you? If this video explains someone you know, a genius who keeps quitting one step from the finish line, share it with them. It might be the thing that helps them see the pattern clearly for the first time. Do me a favor and subscribe, like, share it. Remember, a little insight goes a long way. Stay curious, stay bright, and I'll see you in the next video.